I've been abducted by aliens. I'm going to share a metaphor for abduction by aliens. What would you think? What would you say if I tell you that I've been abducted by aliens? Yeah, most of the people won't care. Some people will be curious. Some people will say that I'm crazy. Now, what if I tell you that the consequence of being abducted is total freedom? Total freedom of thought, freedom of fear, peace in your heart. What if the consequence of being abducted means, in simple terms, being happy? Then probably some of you will be interested, right? Now, as Christians, we preach happiness. That's what we preach. We preach happiness. We preach that there's life after this life. That's what we preach. We preach love. Now I know that for people that don't believe in God, that's not what they see when they see, especially Christians. One of the things that they like to see is actually love, and you're right, it's true. But you gotta understand this: not all the Christians are the same. Are all the atheists the same? You know that that's not the case. Some atheists, they just don't care. Some atheists tend to fight ways of thinking that they believe that they're not true. So why fight something that is not true? You know. So you know that there's no group of people that think the same way. Now, I was telling you that I've been abducted by aliens. It's just so to tell you a metaphor for the kingdom of God. You know, there's probably the number one questions that the non-believers in God ask. Okay, show me the proof. Some people ask for the proof, and the proof is there, but they don't see it. Now this is the thing. If I tell you that I've been abducted of by aliens, then you need to ask me the proof, right? Now, the only proof that I can tell you is the way that I used to be, or the way that I used to think, to my new way of living. Let's say that you know someone that has been depressed for years. Let's say a family member, a friend, and there's science, and yeah, science has helped a lot of people. But let me tell you something: there's some people that have depressions that there's no hope for them. Okay, they're still struggling. They want to kill themselves because they no longer, they cannot take it anymore. So science is not there yet, because it doesn't cure all of them. So what if I tell you that I suffer depression most of my life, and then I no longer have it? It's gone. Now it's not the case. I've never been I've never been depressed. In a way of thinking. Just to think that I want to kill myself. I never thought that in my life. So what I'm saying is the result of being abducted brought me happiness, brought me freedom, at least freedom on my way of thinking, then you probably would be interested because maybe you want to help that friend or that someone. I mean, obviously you're just not gonna take it because I'm telling you. So what are you? If you really want to help that friend or that, it could be a family member, then at least you're gonna need to do a research about me. If it was the case, that I had depression, that I have fears, that I tried to kill myself so many times, and the way I live now, right? That will be my proof. The proof that actually what I'm telling you is true. Now you might say, well, now that you're crazy, then that's just the way. But basically, you're crazy. That's why you're happy, and that could be a good definition. But what if you're wrong? Just because you're thinking it, it doesn't mean that you're right. You could be right, but you could be wrong. Now, the reason I'm saying this metaphor is because that's what Christianity is. Now, there are a lot of people that criticize Christianity, because they're hanging out, they have, they're party, they're happy, right? But what happens is suddenly you get you start feeling bad. You go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Okay, you have cancer, and you have about 3 months of life maximum." Then suddenly, your life is gonna be upside down. Christianity is to give hope to those people that no longer have hope. Even by dying. That's what Christianity is. Christianity is giving hope to the people that suffer depression. And let me tell you, a lot of people with depression have been healed by God. A lot. The only reason you don't know it is because you're not involved in those, movements, the Christianity movement. There are a lot of people with AIDS that have been cured by God. There are a lot of people with all kind of diseases that have been cured by God. We have thousands and thousands of testimonies in the Christian community. But the most important thing, that's not the most important thing. Because yeah, it's nice if you have a disease and if you have a certain amount of time of life because of disease and it's going to be terminated, it's nice to get rid of it, to be healed. But we're still going to die. We're still going to die. Now, what does Christianity mean? Christianity means hope. Okay? Hope. Not only in the afterlife, but hope in this life. That's what Christianity is. Christianity is live better, with peace, with dignity, with freedom. Even if you live in a corrupt country, like North Korea. You can stop. Christians in North Korea, they're free, even with a corrupt government. You're gonna hear their testimonies eventually, or maybe they're already there. If you go to South Korea, most likely you can hear testimonies in South Korea, people that are that they already that they have freedom in North Korea, as they have freedom of thoughts, freedom of peace. Basically, they have peace even in a corrupt regime. So this is the reason why I preach Christianity. Now, like I said, it's easy to say I don't believe in God because you're having fun, you're making money, you have a family, you're happy. But you have to understand there are periods of times where every human being is gonna go through disaster in his heart or her heart. That is gonna go through the pain. That's just the way it is. Now, for some people, it's more painful than others. If you like I said, if you have money, if you have a family, if your body is healthy, you're happy. But what if there's another level of happiness? That's what Christianity is. That's what Christianity is. Now, when we preach Christianity, we preach love, the love of God to us. Now, I understand when people question, if God exists, if that's the case, then why all these terrible things happen? And it has a simple answer. How will you know? How will you know that you live, that God is love, if you don't know the opposite of love? Let's put them from a simple way of, let's say, of a fish. Let's say that we eat fish, we eat chicken, we eat animals. We kill them and we eat them. The poor animals, they're probably saying like, man, this is not right. Now, they don't know it. They don't know it. How will they know? How will they know that this life is unfair? Why? How will the fish in the sea will know that there's injustice? Let's say, like the small fish is being eaten by the bigger fish. Then you will say, like, you see, if God existed, that's not fair. The bigger fish eating the smaller fish. Well, let's go to the opposite. Let's say that there's a sea with all kinds of fish. They're having fun. They're happy all the time. If we are in that world, then how will we know that it's happy, that it's nice? How are you going to compare happiness if there's no sadness? How are you going to compare justice if there's no injustice? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So, the bottom line is, in order to know true love, there has to be death. There has to be hate. There has to be... So, for the people, for all these people that they just want to live in peace, with the right ideology, with the right government, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. There's always going to be hate. There's always, you see, like, let me put this example. In Mexico, I noticed one thing. There's hate. The hate between rich and poor. The poor people, they hate the very rich people. And the opposite. There's racism, usually against indigenous people. The most people when I was there, they didn't care. It's changing. It's changing. As a matter of fact, right now in Mexico, there's a president that actually cares for the less fortunate. And that's nice. Does that mean everything is going to be great? No. There's always going to be injustice. There's always going to be murder. There are always going to be thieves. It's going to happen. That's what this world is all about. But there's hope. There's hope. And that's why we preach the Son of God, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, who died on the cross. And the most important thing, he rose on the third day. He did. Now, you might choose to believe that that's not the case. Like I said, it's easy not to believe when you're happy. But what will happen if one of your kids suddenly dies or suddenly gets a disease that it has no cure? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that at least you might even get open. And you know what? God knows everything. And He knows that when we are in that, when we're suffering the most, that's when God calls us. That's just the way it is. It's not going to happen when you're happy. It's not going to happen when you have, when you have comfort, when you have freedom. It only happens when you're struggling with something. And that's when God calls us. It is true. Now, like I said, the reason that I started with a metaphor is like, well, I think you're crazy. Obviously, you're gonna have your doubts, and most likely, maybe even with just with the title that I roll, I've been abducted by aliens. Like I said, it's like you maybe already have your way of thinking. There's no aliens. So that's the bottom line. So you don't care. But let me tell you, there's another world. There is. There is another world. The world of happiness. In this world, you can be happy, with as a Christian, you can be happy with $10,000 a year. You can be happy with 50. You can be happy with 100,000, or you can be happy with 1,000,000. It doesn't matter. You're just happy. On the other hand, on the other hand, you might say that you're happier, let's say, because you make $1,000,000 a year. You might say that you're happier than the person that makes 10,000 a year. But you might be wrong. You don't know. You don't know that you're. Now, when we put our thoughts in gaining and in making more money and getting more stuff, you're never satisfied. I've seen it myself. I've seen it myself. I've seen millionaires being miserable for reals. And on the other hand, I have seen people making so little, being so happy. Oh my God, have I seen it? You see, I grew up in Mexico. I did. I grew up in Mexico. And I saw very happy people making $5 a day. I'm not kidding. Why? Because they're happy, you know. Now you might say, well, what if there's a disease? And, well, Christianity, the bottom line for Christians is knowing that there's life after death. So the bottom line is the Christian, the mature Christian, no longer is no longer afraid of death. I'm no longer afraid of death. And not only that, I'm no longer afraid of the death of my family. For reals. Now, does that mean I don't care about my family? That's not what I'm saying. It's because I know it. What if I tell you that I have seen, in part, the afterlife? Yeah, most likely you wouldn't believe it. I know. So who's happier? Who's happier? Or who has more peace? The person that is afraid of death, or the person that is no longer afraid of death? You see, in my case, let's talk about material things. I know how to make $100,000 a year. I do. And I think I know how to make $1,000,000 a year. I've never made $1,000,000 a year. I made 100, so I know how to make 100. It didn't take me long. It didn't take me long to make $100,000. So that's what I know. It happened for me. It happened when the economy, that was 2006, and then the economy went down. March 2007. So in 2006, I learned how to make 100,000. It didn't take me 12 months. It probably took me like 6 months to make them. Now, why do I say that? The reason when I've been a Christian all my life, but there are levels of Christianity. I said a mature Christian actually loves people, loves everyone. A mature Christian is no longer afraid of death. That's what a mature Christian is. That's the goal, okay? And it's been given to you by God, but it's given to you little by little. You don't earn it. You just believe it, and then God showed Himself, and He showed it to you. So a lot of people argue that only people, just because, it's because you don't know how to make money, it's because you're miserable, it's because you're miserable in your family, it's because that's not the reason. In my case, I was always an optimist. Things happen. I mean, I learned to deal with them since I was like little, since I was like 4 or 5 years old. Things happen. And Christianity had to do with it. Something happens to you when you're 4 or 5 years old. You forgive, you move on. Something else happened to you. There's always going to be people that are going to do bad stuff to you. Period. Your own family, your own friends. They're going to do things to you. They're going to hate you for no reason. So you're always going to be persecuted, no matter who you are. There's going to be people envious of you, envious of the way that you live, envious of, that's this world. That's what and it happens for everyone. So, I've been happy all my life. I always been happy. Suddenly, let's say suddenly I lost my family. Yeah, I struggle for a little while, but as an optimist, I go, well, it's temporary. Eventually my heart is gonna, I'm gonna move on. I'll move on, and I did. I move on in that search of a way of making $1 million. God called me. When I found a way to make $1 million, that's when God called me. And you know what? I don't regret it. I said no for a lot of years, you know, because I didn't understand. So when I say that I've been abducted by aliens, what would you do, or what would you think if I tell you that there's another level of happiness? There is. I'm living it. I'm living it. Obviously, for some people that are gonna see this video, they don't know me. Even if they're family that I haven't seen in a while, or friends that I haven't seen in a while. I live in a different level of happiness. I call it happiness, but it's in the Bible. It's called the kingdom of God. There is. Does that mean I no longer have problems? Well, no. I have issues. I have situations, but they've been taken care of right away. When you have God on your side, they easily go. And no matter the outcome, you don't lose your freedom. You don't lose your happiness in your heart. How can I explain something that you haven't been exposed to in your life? How can I? You need to live it. So, what triggered my abduction by aliens? The love of God. That's what triggered. I didn't. So before I was abducted, I was happy. I was happy. But in order for me to share the other level of happiness, I had to go through a little bit of pain. I said a little bit, it wasn't a lot. I had to go through a little bit of pain in order for me to, you know, how can I preach to someone that is going through a lot of pain if I haven't lived it myself? There's no way that I can understand it. So I had to go through a little bit of pain, not a lot, you know, but I had to go through a little bit. But at the same time, how can I tell you about this other world where there's another way of living it? In this world, it's just that you don't see it. You don't see it. You don't visually see it. You have to have like some type of a filter that is supernatural to see it. That's the only way that I can explain it. So, if you want to move to that level of happiness, to the other level of happiness, go to the Bible, Just go to the Bible, you know, and read the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Just read them. I'm not telling you that. Just read them. That's all you have to do. You need to humble yourself and read them. That's all you have to do. And then God is gonna give you that filter to see the other world. That's the proof. That's all you have to do. That's what Christianity is. Now, I need to tell you this. Most of the Christians do not know this because they're not true Christians. They're not there yet. There's always been a few Christians that see it. So how do you identify a true Christian? It's pretty simple. A Christian that hates someone is not Christian. A Christian that condemns anybody, a person, he's not a true Christian. He's not. So a true Christians love people, period. It doesn't matter if he's a murderer. It doesn't matter if he's a rapist. It doesn't matter if it's whatever. A true Christians love the person. Every person. That's a true Christian. And you can see him. I remember seeing a video where there's this guy in court that killed a lot of people. It's like a mass murderer, And then I don't know if it was right before the sentencing or after. I guess it was before. The mothers and parents, of the people that he killed, they started saying, oh, I hope you go to hell, and I hope that, all kinds of bad things. I'm talking about Christian. If somebody says hell, supposedly is a Christian, but there's this guy, the true Christian. He says, you know what? You took away I don't remember if it was a daughter or a son. You took away, I think it was a daughter. You took away my daughter. You killed her. And you know what? I just want to tell you something. I love you. I love you because I'm a Christian. And you know what? This guy that never, ever, show any sign of compassion, of mercy, of resentment. When he was told that by a true Christian, he was broken and started weeping. That's a good Christian. That's a Christian, a true Christian. A true Christians love people. Now, we have a challenge, in understanding true love, or the way that we show it. That's what I'm saying, that they're mature Christians and not so mature Christians, because it takes a while, to understand it, that we need to show love for everybody. And you know what? That's what gives hope to this world. That's what we preach. So like I said, I'm going to finish with this. If you want to be abducted by aliens and move the next level of happiness, do that. Read those 4 books, humble yourself, just read them, and wait. And wait. Don't tell anybody. Don't argue. Don't try to argue with me. I'm not going to respond to any. I'm just telling you. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't want to do it, that's fine too. I respect your opinion. I'm not going to argue here in this, in the comments here. If you want it, fine. You don't want it, that's fine too. Okay? I still love you. Even if you disagree with me, I still love you. Okay? The peace of God be with you.